A good welcome to my lecturer. My name is Anandha and my metric number is BO 91810031. Today I am going to talk about the introduction of planetary gear. Planetary gear is a mechanism composed for one or more external gears. Two gears are attached to the planetary gear trains which rotate around the center of one gear. Planetary gear include the following three structural types. First is the meshing world, second is the stepping planet, and the third is multi-stage systems. Planetary gear consists of 5 types of parts. First is planetary pinions, and second is sun gear, third is planetary carrier, and fourth is planetary gear, and last is ring gear. The next part is the definition of planetary gear. The various gears shift together. The planetary gearbox got its name. The sun gear is usually worked so that the planet gears are locked in the planet carrier from the output shaft. The planetary gear train also provides stability due to an even distribution of mass and increased rotational stiffness. The efficiency loss in a planetary gear train is typically about 3% per stage. The method of the motion of the planetary gear structure is different from traditional parallel gears.
For my part in planetary gear, why important or purposes? First of all, planetary gearing is a gear system consisting of one or more outer or planet, gas or pinions revolving about a central sun gear or sun wheel. Planetary gear train provide high power density in comparison to standard parallel axis gear trains. They provide a reduction in volume, multiple kinematic combustions, purely torsional reaction, and coaxial shafting. The load in a planetary gear train is shared among multiple planets. Therefore, torque capability is greatly increased. The more planets in the system, the greater the load ability and the heavier the torque density. The planetary gear train also provided stability due to an even distribution of mass and increased rotational stiffness. Then, torque applied radially onto the gas of a planetary gear train is transferred radially by the gear without lateral pressure on the gear teeth. Planetary speed reducer has multiple gear contacting surfaces with a larger area that can distribute the loading evenly around the central axis. Multiple gear surfaces share the load, including any instantaneous impact loading, evenly, which make them more resistant to damage from higher torque. Lastly, the housing and bearing parts are also less likely to be damaged from high loading, as only the planet carry bearings experience significant lateral force from the transmission of torque. Radial force opposite each other are balanced, and axial forces only arise when using axial gears. Now, how it works? Planetary gear rotate around axes that revolve around the sun gear, which spin in a place. A ring gear binds the planet on the outside and is completely fixed. The contractility of the planet grouping with the sun and ring gears means that the torque carries through a straight line. In a simple planetary setup, input power turns the sun gear at high speed. The planets a space around the central axis of rotation mesh with the Sun as well as the fixed ring gear, so they are forced or opted as they roll. All the planets are mounted to a single rotating member called a cage, arm or carrier. As the planet carrier turns, it delivers low speed, high torque output. A fixed component isn't always essential. Truth in differential system, every member rotates. Planetary arrangements like the accommodate a single output driven by two input or a single input driving two output. For example, the differential that drives the axle in an automobile is planetary bevel gearing. The wheel speeds represent two output, which must differ to handle corners. Bevel gear planetary system operate along the same principle as parallel shaft system. Even a simple planetary gear train has two input, which is an anchored ring gear represent as constant input of zero angular velocity. Planetary train has at least two planet gear attached in line to the same shaft, rotating and orbiting at the same speed while meshing with different gears. Compounded planets can have different tooth number, as can the gears they mesh with. Having such option greatly expand the mechanical possibilities, then allow more reduction per stage. Compound planetary trains can easily be configured so the planet carrier shaft drive at the high speed, while the reduction issues from the Sun shaft if the designer prefers this. Another thing about component planetary system, the planet can mesh with and revolve around both fixed and rotating external gears simultaneously, hence a ring gear is not essential.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Azimin bin Abdul Aziz. My matrix number is B0918101040. And today I'll be discussing about the advantages and disadvantages and also the conclusion of our finding. Thank you. Okay, for the advantages of the planetary gear train, we have 5, which is the first one is compact size and low weight. Number 2 is the high power density, and number 3 is longer life at similar load, and also 4, gearing can be very accurate with virtually no backlash, and number 5 is modular. Most planetary sets can be stacked. And to say about the compact size and low weight, for given load, torque, and geometry, it's possible to retrieve the necessary gear size where enter as a function of gear ratio. And for the high power density, several planes share the loads rather than the one gear. The more planet of the gear, high power density is more important in development. And number 3 is longer life as load. Number 3 have the advantages of lightweight, small size, less remission, gear bearing capacity, and high transmission efficiency. And so for number 5, modular can be stacked. That means a stack of gear for upgrade system for machine that provide increased reduction. Thank you. Here we're talking about the disadvantages. There is 5. Number 1 is noisy operation. Number 2 is generally grease lubricated. Number 3 is high bearing load. Number 4 is gearing must be accurate, and also 5 is high ratio of length of diameter. For the noisy operation, meshing of the gear in the planetary set that form a ratio changing mechanism automation produce a gear noise. Number 2, generally grease lubricated. One of the most important thing is that your planetary gear must be keep on be lubricated so it will work perfectly. Number 3 is high bearing load. Need to exhibit high rate failure, and also detection of this fault may result in catastrophic breakdown. Number 4 is gear must be accurate. Their complexity in design and manufacturing tends to make them more expensive, and so the solution also the gearbox types. Number 5 is high ratio of length to diameter. It's desired the motor is not listed, the tool has not been into motor dimension, and also the length and the problems occur as the smooth of the gear and the ratio would be higher. Thank you. The conclusion. For conclusion, gearbox typically provide 3 benefits, that is, they reduce speed, amplify torque, and also help match the inertia of the motor and the load. And also Following the discovery of mechanism of the planetary gear, we can conclude the inherent limitation of bearing size and type conclude with the tool task of the transmitting torque and supporting axial load mean the torque rating of the helical planetary gearbox can be lower than those of similar gearbox using spurred planetary gear. And also, on the other hand, helical design have lower noise, smoother operation, and high stiffness. This is a very extensive for power transmission and also are used frequently to match the inertia while providing a sturdy mechanical inferior for pulley and other mechanical components. These attributes make helical planetary gearbox the more common choices in many applications. Thank you.